Fairview just came in today, and I noticed there's a few subtle differences that I haven't been able to find online. I know they talk about different hip straps, slightly different than the men's version, and the shoulder straps, but there seems to be a little bit more. So I just thought I'd do a little review to show some of you people out there what the differences are in case you're interested in purchasing. So this one is the men's version, Farpoint 40, which has been sold for years. Men and women have been buying them for quite a few years. This is the medium large version, and this is the volcanic gray. This one just came in today.
Fairview
Farpoint 40, and then this is in the small medium, which is the largest they sell for the women's version. And this is considered mystic gray, but as you can see in the video, this is far from gray at all. This is actually more of an olive drab color, and nothing on it whatsoever is gray. Just some of the things you can notice off right off the bat is, well, both of these were purchased recently. This was purchased 2 weeks ago, and this one was purchased last week. This was from Moose Jaw, and I think this was from Amazon. I paid about $120 for this one. It was on sale. Paid $127 for this one on moosejaw.com when it was with some coupons. So right off the bat, what I noticed, you've got Farpoint 40 written on here. This is reflective. Osprey here is also reflective. On the new version here of the Farpoint 40, the Osprey design is also reflective here. It's much more low-key, which I prefer versus the previous version. However, the Farpoint 40 writing here is actually just white. It's not reflective at all. Some of the other differences you can see here. They've got some molly webbing. There's two little slots here on the female version. On the men's version, they do. Okay. Flip it over. Flip it over, you can see everything is pretty much the same on both versions. There's nothing here changed. This is, the bird is also in white on both versions, not reflective. Okay, now that I've got the hip belt and the shoulder pads exposed, let's discuss some of the differences they said are between the two. Honestly, the hip pads, I really don't notice any difference at all between them. They're, if anything, the female version, the Fairview 40, the hip belt is a little bit shorter, as you can see. Although this is a different size, it's a little bit smaller size, so that could be why it's a little bit smaller. They mentioned them being at a different angle. I haven't been able to notice that angle at all. That's different. I have noticed that the shoulder straps are a little bit thinner on the Farpoint, or I'm sorry, the Fairpoint 40 version versus the men's. The men's is a little thicker, as you can kind of see here. The other thing that I noticed here was on the Fairview 40, they've installed the little clips here in the shoulder straps for Osprey's day packs, like they do on the Fairview 55 and the bigger backpacks that have the built-in day pack that zips into the back. While it doesn't zip onto the back of this, it does clip into the front. And as you can see right here, the Farpoint 40 doesn't have that option. Maybe on their next version they'll do that, but I thought that's a nice feature. Other than that, there's nothing else different that I can find in the padding, anything like that on these, between the two of these. Okay, so now we'll go into the insides of the backpacks to show you a little bit of the differences. On the Farpoint 40, the pocket in the top here, which I plan to use for my liquids, and that's going to be your green. On the Fairpoint 40, it's just a muted gray color, which is not bad at all. Then you go into the first pocket here that opens up halfway. On the Fairview 40, you've got the blue, which matches the buckles here. You've got the same laptop compartment, tablet compartment, same exact thing as the Farpoint 40, no differences. Going inside, same exact thing. There's no difference between the two of them other than color. You've got, in the Fairview 40, you've got the same aqua color blue mesh pocket here on the lid, and then the blue here. And then there's your Farpoint 40. The only difference is it's just done in the green. Okay, so I've purchased quite a few bags for our upcoming trip to Spain, and after having carried, doing carry-on only for a few years now, I thought I'd give it another go of carrying backpacks for carry-on. We had tried the Osprey, one of their other backpacks, travel backpacks, and we went to Italy a couple years ago, and it was absolutely miserable. I think it was the 46 liter, and we just packed too much. The backpack straps were terrible. I don't think it even had any decent waist belts, hip belts. So we ended up returning those. We got them at REI, and then we went just to plain old wheeled carry-on size luggage, which we haven't had any issues with whatsoever, really. When we went to Germany last winter or last fall, we did have to carry them for probably about a good half a mile or so over cobblestone and sidewalks and whatnot, and it was kind of a pain in the neck. So this time around, we're going to be walking quite a bit through between train stations and airports. So I thought I'd give these a shot. I have the GoRock GR2 34 liter bag, which I've used kind of like as my EDC for work, and it's a great bag. It doesn't come with a waist belt, and I probably carry about 15 pounds to 17 pounds of gear for clothing and whatnot for traveling. And I just like to have the added hip belt, just if I'm going to be walking from a airport or a train station to the hotel, just more comfortable for me. So I ordered a few other bags just to try out before a trip. I tried the PacSafe VentureSafe 45 liter bag, which was an awesome bag. The material was great. It was very sleek. I love the security features, especially if we're on the train and I can lock it up on the train. We can go to the cart to get drinks and food, not have to worry about someone breaking into our bags or stealing them or anything like that. And I really like that feature. I really want to like that bag. However, PacSafe is great at making security bags. That's their forte, but they really have no clue on how to make a bag for carrying weight, backpacks and whatnot. I had one of their messenger bags that I took to France last spring, back in April, and I really liked it. I'm going to take it again to Spain this time around. But as far as carrying weight, it was horrible. The shoulder pads were pretty thin. They could probably carry the weight if the bag had about 10 or 12 pounds, that would be fine. But the hip belt that came with it was very thin. It really didn't support the weight. It had no frame whatsoever inside of it, and I wasn't too crazy about it. And unfortunately, because of that, I had to send it back. I also had purchased a Manol 2.0 bag, which I thought this was going to be the bag that I would. That was before the PacSafe. That was going to be the bag for me. I loved it was just so sleek. No pockets or anything really on it. It's a great looking bag. Extremely expensive. I thought, what the hell, I'll try it out You know, I don't mind paying money for good quality bags. And I got it in. Great looking bag. I loved a lot of the features of it. I kind of preferred some of the other features of their 1.0 bag, or their first version. You know, but it is what it is. But they didn't have the waist hip belts either. So that bag with I weighed it with 17 pounds of everything I'm going to be taking on my trip to Spain in the fall. It put a lot of weight. You could feel it on the shoulders. It's just not designed for carrying that type of weight. And I felt that, you know, for the price that they charge, it's not worth it for me if it doesn't feel comfortable. The quality wasn't all there. I wasn't impressed with the quality, especially for what I was paying. You know, so I sent that back under their policy. They could they'll take it back. And so then I tried the Osprey Farpoint 40, which I never really heard actually before the Manal, and I see hundreds and hundreds of reviews on the Osprey Farpoint 40, and it seems to be a pretty popular bag for travelers. So I ordered one of these guys, and it came in, and it has to be the most loaded up with all my gear. It was the most comfortable bag that I put on. It's got an actual, you know, it's got the actual backpack, actual frame right in here that goes all the way around, connects to the hip belt, and I think that's a big part of why it's so comfortable. It's a lightweight bag. You know, it's probably on par with the Manal 2.0. I think it's like 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds at the most. It's very lightweight. It was a lot smaller than I thought for a 40-liter bag, because my GoRuck 34-liter is actually quite a bit bigger. But and actually that was probably the most comfortable as far as bags go. That just carries all the weight on the shoulder pad. So when this came in, I was a little concerned that my gear wouldn't fit inside of it. Everything I'm taking to Spain. So I packed everything that I'm going to be taking in the packing cubes, and I actually had some room to spare, and so it felt comfortable. Obviously, I haven't taken it anywhere yet, so I guess that we'll find out on this trip to Spain in November. But out of all the reviews I've read and watched on YouTube, the one that caught my attention the most is one from Marcus Bird. Mainly because my issue with all of these convertible bags for travel is, you know, you've got the shoulder pads, shoulder straps, and hip pads that you know, you can use when you're carrying it from airport or train station to hotel, and then you've got in one way or another you can hide them. Osprey does this zip up panel. Pack Safe and Manal, you could had a panel. You'd slide the hip pads in there, you know, the shoulder pads would slide in there behind the panel, and keep those hidden. And the other Osprey I tried as well also had something similar, where the shoulder pads would slide in the back of a panel, and then the hip pads do the same. But the Farpoint 40 and the Fairpoint 40, they don't offer that solution if you just want to carry with your shoulder pads. All the others, if you just want to carry with shoulder pads, you can. Which, you know, just going from you're waiting to get on the plane or whatever, you don't want to have the hip pads dangling around. And I like to have that option. So in Marcus Bird that I found on YouTube, he has a suggestion that he showed that I found unique, and he's the only person I've seen that showed this option. And once I tried that out, that sealed the deal for me for the Farpoint 40. So he was showing, if you just want to use the the shoulder pads, you've got your panel undone. Instead of just rolling it up and velcroing the inside here, which isn't the best design, but it is what it is. He just advocates stuffing, wrapping this pad, the panel underneath the hip pads, and then when it's all tucked in, it looks like this. Is it sexy? No. But you know what? It does the job, so who gives a shit, right? I mean, this is perfect for if you just need to get it, hip pads tucked in, and you're going to carry it around for a while. It doesn't get in the way. It's perfect. You know, he does another great review too. He shows it all packed. You know, other people, you see the reviews, people pack it with pillows, or it's empty. You don't see how it's actually really being used. And I really like that, the fact that Marcus Bird had done a video like that and showed you actually it in use. So hopefully in the end of November, I'll put up another video of how we, you know, like the bags, the difference between the two, and using them for 2 weeks in Spain on trains, planes, and walking around. But just thought I'd do this video and so you guys can see the difference between the two bags. Like I said, there's just little subtle differences, but in case you're interested in purchasing one, now you can see. You know, obviously you'll see if you're ordering the Mystic Gray, this clearly isn't gray at all. It's olive drab, which actually is a nice color. I wish they'd do it in men's. If it had black buckles, you know, in the men's size, the Farpoint 40 with black buckles in this color, it would be a nice color. I kind of like it. But if you have any questions about the bags, just you know, put your questions in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. And like I said, the end of November, I'll try and do a more comprehensive review on it, you know, just like the thousands of other reviews that are on YouTube on the Farpoint 40. But I'll have my wife do the Fairview 40, see if we can get a review on that.